Today I'm here with Jonny Lewis. He's a director of a few films, and he's our curator for animation. So, Jonny, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me, Dennis. I started acting and filmmaking late in life. I started acting when I was 45, and after acting in a bunch of other people's films, kind of got the notion that, gee, I think I could do this myself. So I got together some people that I had worked with, people who worked camera, people who worked grip, etc., and started making short films. I guess I was probably about 55 by then. I consider myself more of a writer than a director, but I did write and direct and produce 25 short films and one feature, which is now in post-production.
Yep, yep. What's the name of it?
It's called Waking Up in Idaho.
Wake Up in Idaho. And what did you made you decide to start acting?
I didn't decide to start acting, actually. I had never even thought about acting. I had never done any acting in school at all. My best friend was in all the high school plays, and he was always trying to get me to participate. And I said, no, thanks. I was too shy. When my son graduated high school, I moved from Michigan to New York because I love New York City. I met a guy on a train who invited me to come to an audition just to watch. And it was really interesting to see the casting process, why they did and did not cast certain people. For example, one guy was really good at playing the crazy guy, and they decided not to cast him because he actually was a little bit crazy. They ran out of people for one of the lead roles, so they asked me to try it. And at first I said, "You're joking, right? I mean, I'm not an actor." But they were desperate, and they said, "No, try it." That was for a play reading. It was just so the writer director could hear their words out loud and see how it sounded. And I did about 10 of those in a couple of months. And like within about 3 months, I got cast in a lead role. It was a lot of fun. And I was the oldest person there. Everybody else was like 25 and under. So it was fun hanging out with all the young people. So I was a doctor, and I was a acting teacher, and I was a priest.
And so, what made you decide to go from theater to films?
It was all new to me. I was just having fun, and I put myself in the on the casting sites. Then I started to see that all the people I was hanging out with were going to LA because that's where the movies are made. Being from Michigan, I didn't know. I thought New York was just as big as LA in movies, and it's not. So I went out there in 2003, and that's where I did most of my acting.
All right. And so, who is your inspiration? Who is your favorite filmmaker?
I don't have favorite filmmakers. I have favorite films because for me, it's all about story. I'm not a technical person. I'm not one of these directors that figures out brilliantly what kind of lighting and mood and everything they want. I'm aware of things like when I made the feature, I was very aware of wardrobe.
Mhm.
So we set up a progression of wardrobe because our characters in the beginning, their lives aren't going that great. So they're wearing like dark colors and grays and browns and stuff like that. And as they progress, they go more and more toward more vibrant, toward pastels, and then more toward vibrant colors at the end. I think that's something I learned from a German movie called Das Leben der Anderen, where the guy came from theater, and they explained about wardrobe and colors in the film.
Okay. So, do you make like when you make a movie? Are you making a movie because you have a message you want to put out, or are you making a movie because it's fun to do? Which way do you go?
I'm kind of a message guy. I won 20 awards for some anti-war comedy shorts, and they played all over the world. They were in 150 festivals. And then there was one short film where I didn't realize it was a message film until after I shot it. I play a doctor where I go to some woman's house and I knock on her door and ask her how she's doing. And she says, fine. And I said, well, you don't look fine. And she's like, what? And I go, well, I don't know. I think you might need some medicine here. And so I talk her into taking a medicine that I'm going to bring her every week, and I bill her for it. She has all these objections, but hey, ma'am, I'm the doctor. And the guy's not really a doctor. It's not really clear who he is. But I realized afterward, I thought, oh my goodness, this is a parody about the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. All right. So when you're on a set, how do you handle creative differences? Like I actually shot a film. One of my features, I had a cameraman who I would say, right, this is the shot I want. No, you don't. No, but it is. It's the shot I want. No, it isn't. It's not a good shot. I'm like, but this is really the shot I want. And he was like, no, no, it isn't. How do you, how do you, how do you deal with that? Do you ever run into that?
No, I haven't actually.
Lucky.
And since that's not my strong point, I usually say, okay. If I did, I would just do it both ways.
Mm.
You know, let's,
Okay,
okay, we'll do it your way, and then we'll do it my way.
all right. Do you like working with actors? Do you find it fun to work with actors, or are they a necessary evil? Like, how do you see an actress?
No, I love working with actors. I mean, I am one, so I understand everything that they bring to the project and how hard they work. For me, it's like a family. Like, hey, let's all get together and have fun for a day or 14 or 15 days or whatever.
Yeah, I know. We've always done the same thing. We once shot a movie inside his apartment, and for every take, we had to turn the fish tank off because of the noise that filter make. And so at the end of every take, everybody would go, "Save the fish! Save the fish!" So we called it "Save the Fish Productions." Anyway, all right, telling my stories. So do you see being able to make a living as an indie filmmaker, or has it always been a side gig?
Uh, it hasn't made a living for me, but I've got, as I say, I have a couple of scripts which I think are fantastic, and I think screenwriting could make a living for me. Yeah, and the awards show me that I've done something right.
Right.
I make the films that I want to make. I don't ever say what does Hollywood want or any of that. I always make what comes from the heart, but I think that's what the audience wants. I think the audience wants things that come from the heart. And then when those succeed, then Hollywood says, oh, yeah, well, we want that. So,
Okay, so also I understand that you curate for the New York City Independent Film Festival as the animation curator.
funny you should mention that, Dennis. I used to watch animations with my son, animations and special effects makeup stuff back in the day when you had to rent videos on this stuff. And then he grew up to be an animator. And I ended up being the curator of the New York City Independent Film Festival. Everybody has seen the Disney and the Pixar, and they've got some wonderful films. But what I like about these animations is that there's so many different styles. I see things in chalk. I see things made from cloth and wire. There's a lot of humor. There's occasionally some sadness. There's sometimes sadness mixed with humor. I was showing my grandkids some of the stuff from last year's festival. My granddaughter really identified with this one film. I let her watch it a few times, but there's a little bit of swearing in it. She's 9 years old. But yeah, animation is just, it appeals to so many people, and there's so many wonderful stories that people are putting out. One of my dreams, Dennis, is to be able to make enough money from selling scripts to fund an independent animated film, because we don't see those, because animation is so much work. Because the technology changes, it doesn't take as much work as it did a few years ago, but it still takes a lot of work. Some of them is just one person working at home on nights and weekends. This one guy at the film festival about 5 years ago, it was about a chicken in a hen house, and it had a spiritual component to it. Wonderful film. And I asked him, when is he going to do the next one? He says, I don't know. It took me 3 years of my life to do that one. So I would love sometime to take one of these filmmakers and say, okay, here's $1 million or $500,000 or whatever it takes. And it won't be just you this time. It'll be half a dozen people working under you. I think the audience will go, wow, this doesn't look like Pixar. And the story's just as good or better, and it's refreshing, and we love it. Give us more.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm looking forward to seeing the selections you're going to make for this year's festival, and we hope to hear from you again. And thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. It's good to see you.
All right, bye-bye.